Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Tyler Merkovich, and that's Azara Playbook, Emery Hunt, and we're bringing you an FCS preview on the Missouri Valley Conference. And let's start out with the Salukis of Southern Illinois. Dale Lennon was 9-3 last year. He's in his second year this year. He's the former North Dakota head coach. Jerry Kill goes to FBS to Northern Illinois. 7 returning starters on offense, 9 on defense. Chris Deeker, quarterback, is back. Richard White, their second leading rusher, is going to be their starting running back. And Mark Cheatham, their second leading receiver, returns.
Yeah, the most important thing, they have to figure out a way to replace Larry Warner, the prolific running back they had last season. But you look at Richard White, could be a formidable replacement. I think he's going to do well for the Salukis. I think he's going to be fine. That offense is going to be, as consistent as they were last year. Naturally going to take a step back because they lost 2 all-conference players on that offensive line. But if they can find some adequate replacements, I think overall, top to bottom, they'll be fine on offense.
Decent experience on the offensive line
but
also. With
keep an eye on quarterback Paul McIntosh. Word out of Carbondale is that he's coming in to push. This coming to push Deeker. So I'm interested to see how McIntosh is going to do.
First team linebacker and leading tackler. First team All-League, Brandon Jordan returns, and second team leading tackler Marty Rogers is back. All-American Corey Lindsey led the conference with 6 interceptions.
Well, they also have an all-conference cornerback as well. Strong safety as Marty Rogers, 82 tackles, 2 interceptions, 6 TFLs. So their secondary is awesome. Their linebackers are another strength of their defense. You want to look at Chauncey Mixon, 75 tackles, 5.5 sacks. Also Brandon Jordan, the inside linebacker, 81 tackles as well. So that's a lot of tackles coming from those 2 guys. So the linebackers can hold it down. The question is, can that defensive line hold up their end of the bargain and create a pass rush? Otherwise, they're going to struggle because that's the most important element of their team. They want to get after the quarterback, but they can't if the defensive line can't generate that pass rush to get sacks.
The Northern Iowa Panthers are led by Mark Farley. He was 12-3 last year, and he's in his 9th year, but he's led this team to 5 top 5 finishes. He's got 11 returning starters, including Pat Grace, who's a second-team All-League. Second-team left tackle Austin Howard is back. Derek Law needs to replace Corey Lewis, their leading rusher, and second-team fullback Ryan Mahaffey is back to block for Law.
Well, you look at Austin Howard, he's a star at that offensive line. He leads the veteran group back. That's going to help break in a new running back who had 786 yards last season. It's Derek Law, 9 touchdowns. So they're going to get more production out there running back group due to that offensive line being a veteran group and more poise and leadership. So that's going to be good. Also, Pat Grace, 2,041 yards passing, 62% completion percentage. He's a real good quarterback. Efficient. This is a guy that protects the football, does well. 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So look for him to improve now. His second year back there. You look at that offensive line as a stable front. He's going to do fine back there as a quarterback.
On defense, they have 2 sick linebackers, first-team All-Selection Josh Mahoney and Jamar Thompson, who had 10 stops behind the line of scrimmage and 4 interceptions.
They have a lot of talent on defense. You want to start with the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, James Ruffin, defensive end. This guy is off the charts with his play. 10 sacks last season. That's impressive. He's a terror coming off the end. I like Ruffin. You spoke of the linebackers. They are an outstanding group. So overall, expect the secondary to struggle because they're bringing in some new guys. But if Ruffin can get back there and create some pass rush, doesn't matter who's back there playing corner or safety, they're going to do fine.
Well, Craig Ball's in his 7th year, and he went 6-5 last year at North Dakota State. The Bison are led by Nick Mertens, their quarterback. Right tackle, first-teamer Keith Buckman paves the way for running back Pat Pascal.
Pat Pascal is going to do exceptionally well last season. He's a different running back from Tyler Rowe. Pat Pascal has a lot of speed, quickness, and balance, which is a key element for a running back. 600 yards rushing last season. He's going to do outstanding. I like him as a player. Their running game is going to be solid. Now, they have a totally new wide receiver core, so I'm interested to see how that receiver core is going to step up and play well and provide some production for the Bison offense.
On defense, a lot of losses here. Linebacker Tyler Henry needs to step up. Strong safety Cyrus Lemon. But the good thing was last year is that They got their yards per game from 329 in '07 down to 254 last year, but expect that to explode up with all these losses on defense.
Yeah, a lot of losses on defense. That defensive line is going to have to gel real quick, to offset some of the losses. Also, that secondary might take a hit as well, too. They lost a lot of players in that secondary. So the biggest question mark for North Dakota State is that defense. And I've been a big supporter of North Dakota State the last 3 seasons, picking them against a lot of FBS teams to win. But this time, I think this defense is going to have to step up big. Strong safety Cyrus Lemon is a real good player back there in the secondary. Hopefully he's gonna help show up that back end, but they have a lot of question marks on defense.
The Penguins of Youngstown State, John Heacock was 4-8 last year, 5 returning on offense, 9 on defense. Quarterback Brandon Summers leads the way. Donald Jones had over 500 yards, and Cameron Keys over 800 yards rushing. Is there going to be their go-to tailback?
Well, they have a solid offense. You mentioned Keys and Jabari Scott combined 1,200 yards rushing. Both of those guys are over 5 yards a carry, so they can move the chains. Brandon Summers is a phenomenal quarterback. It's a guy that can move the football, move the team down the field. He has some scrambling ability. 62% of his passes are completed. He also you look at 18 touchdowns as opposed to 7 interceptions. So this is a guy that makes smart decisions with the football. My question is, who's going to play receiver? Can a receiver step up? There are a lot of solid guys out there, but they need one guy, to be a star, because there's a lot of new faces out there at receiver.
On defense, they bring in Taylor Hell, Michigan transfer, to help out Mikhail Savage, also on that D-line. But their 2 leading tacklers are back in Brandian Ross and Andre Elliott.
Well, they had a lot of injuries on their defense last year, and one thing that a lot of injuries do, they get those guys back. So with injuries come depth. So with all those injuries last season, now they have a deep defense. This is a scary defense. They're going to get a lot of talent back on the defensive line, a lot of talent back in that secondary, and also the head coach is the defensive coordinator as well, too. So when the head coach calls the defense, look for that defense to be a major strength for Youngstown State. I like their defense.
Let's talk about the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. John Stiegelmeier in his 13th season, 7-5 last year, 6 on offense, 8 on defense back this year. Ryan Crawford, the quarterback. Kyle Minay, second team All-League last year, almost 1,290 yards and 14 touchdowns, and another second team wide out, Glenn Fox.
Well, Glenn Fox also had 700-plus yards receiving as well as 10 touchdowns, so he's a playmaker on the outside. You look at the tight end, Colin Cochart, 17.4 yards a catch. That's impressive. That's a guy that can stretch the defense down the middle of the field, control the zone. He can also beat man coverage as a tight end, so he's an exceptional athlete. My question is, although they lost, the 2 all-conference, linemen, how they gonna fare this year? But I think they're gonna do okay. They do have a lot of depth on the team. You never want to count out the South Dakota State Jackrabbits because they produce year in year out. They come to compete each and every week. I like them on offense. Quarterback Ryan Crawford has some solid weapons at his disposal, so it's all up to him how far this team goes.
Danny Batten, the defensive end, was a first-team selection. Second-team weak side linebacker Jimmy Rogers returns, and Conrad Kjerstad had 4 interceptions last year at strong safety.
The linebackers are the strength of that defense. You're talking about 250-plus combined tackles from the 3 guys, Roberts, Johnson, and Domino. Those guys dominate that conference, with their defensive play. I like that. Danny Batten, 75 tackles, 8 sacks coming off the defensive end. One thing, they get 8 starters back on that defense. They have to improve. They gave up 29 points a game. That's going to keep you out of a lot of football games if you can't chop that down. I know they score a lot of points on offense, but the defense has to show up and catch up with the offense. If they can get that to like 20 or 19, this could be a scary team, in the Missouri Valley Conference.